Here are three things I wish more healthcare providers understood about dementia caregiving, coming from a clinical psychologist who worked in a hospital for 13 years, as well as someone with personal caregiving experience and has been on the other end. I'd also love to hear what you would add to this list after listening to my top three. Number one, just because the doctor or the healthcare provider is the one with the credentials, the degrees after their name, it doesn't mean they know everything and they have all the answers. It's easy for healthcare professionals to assume that they know what's best for your loved one. After all, they have all the training, they have all the years and clinical experience and hours of working in the industry. But the truth is, you are the expert on your loved one. You have a lot more knowledge and information and understanding about your loved one than any provider. That's why treatment recommendations and discussions should never feel one-sided, like the healthcare professional is the one calling all the shots. The family and the patient, to the extent that the patient's able to be included in the discussion, they should always be included in the discussion. And the family members' report and their experiences and what they are witnessing and seeing in the home should be taken into account. In short, the healthcare provider might know more about dementia than you, maybe, but you know more about your loved one with dementia than they do, and that matters. Now, obviously, Careblazer, you have to be talking to your loved one's healthcare providers. None of these videos on this channel are a replacement for healthcare. They're not healthcare at all. I just wish that more healthcare providers had a little bit more empathy and understanding and maybe humility in realizing that the family member sitting in front of them actually has a lot to offer to the clinical picture, and it doesn't need to be just one-sided from them. Before I get into number two, I want to mention some important news if you or a loved one are on Medicare, because recently the Department of Justice filed a massive fraud complaint against three of the largest Medicare brokers in the country. According to the Department of Justice, these Medicare brokerage companies misled seniors, claiming to offer unbiased help in choosing the right plan for them while not obviously like secretly steering them into choosing the plans that had the highest kickbacks for them. So they weren't the best plans for the seniors trying to get help in choosing the best Medicare plan. It was just the most profitable plan for the broker. So deciding on the best Medicare plan for your needs is extremely important, but it can be so overwhelming. There's so much information and there's so many plans to take a look at, over 24,000. And so it's infuriating to hear that the companies that are dedicated to helping seniors choose them might not always be upfront about what they are doing. So that is why I full-heartedly recommend Chapter and why they are the sponsor of today's video, because Chapter was founded because the co-owners' parents, they were scammed and they vowed to fix the system. And Chapter is fully independent, and they're the only national advisors that search every single Medicare plan available to find the one that actually fits your needs. They advocate for you, not the insurance company. So they're not steering you in any direction for their own profit. There is no pressure. It's just ethical, honest help at no cost to you. The DOJ case shows just how broken the system is, and Chapter is really working to fix it. So if you want help with choosing the best Medicare plan for your needs, give Chapter a call at 504-490-0080. You will talk to a real person who will help you figure out exactly which plan is right for you. Chapter has saved an average of $1,100 a year for seniors, and it's a free resource for my audience. I'm pasting the number below in the description and you'll see it here on the screen, but you can call Chapter today at 504-490-0080, or you can go to askchapter.org/careblazers. Okay, number two on what I wish more healthcare providers understood about dementia caregiving, coming from my perspective, a clinical psychologist and a former family caregiver. I have been guilty of this when I was a provider, and basically it's keeping in mind that the family member in that appointment is more than just a caregiver. There are so many other things. It's easy to overlook the fact that that family member at the appointment is somebody with a life outside of caregiving, or at least would love a life outside of caregiving. So don't assume they have nothing else to do but care for their loved one. Many of them still work, volunteer, have their own health needs to attend to. They might be raising kids, they have hobbies, friendships, many other things are happening in their lives besides just being a careblazer. They have to keep up the house, the home, the chores, the grocery shopping, the cooking, everything. And so that means when you're giving them a complicated medication regimen to follow, or telling them about the 6 follow-up appointments their loved one needs to attend, it might be a good idea to check in on how that caregiver is doing, to acknowledge everything that they're doing, to let them know they're doing a great job. Careblazers are real-life human beings with lives outside of caregiving. They are not just robots designed to build their entire life around dementia caregiving, even though that's exactly what it feels like. And number 3, do not treat the family members or the person with dementia as if they are dumb, but you do need to explain things. Most careblazers and most people with dementia are not living in the world, especially in the beginning, growing up in the healthcare setting where all of these acronyms and abbreviations and words, it's not like they automatically know what they mean. I remember when my dad was in the hospital and a provider came into the room to talk about his discharge plans and what was going to happen on follow-up. And she used what felt like at least a dozen different abbreviations and terms that are not common in the real world unless you've been caregiving for a while. So for example, she told him that he'd need to go to a SNF, that he would go to rehab, that following that he would likely go to assisted living. Now, if you've been caregiving for a while or you're in the healthcare field, SNF, rehab, assisted living, that all might seem like it makes total sense, but not to most people. Those words, there's so much misunderstanding behind them. It's not automatic that we all know what that means. My dad had no idea what a SNF was. If I didn't come from the healthcare system at this point in the stage of my caregiving, I wouldn't have known what a SNF was. Rehab, my dad had a big alcohol problem. Were they talking about for alcohol use or rehab for his muscles? Assisted living, what does that mean? Does it mean he has to be there forever? What kind of assistance do they get? What does that look like? Of course, my dad said he understood everything and, he just wanted the provider out of the room. But as soon as she left, my dad was like, what in the world was that lady talking about? I didn't understand anything she said. So fortunately, I was able to help him and explain some things, but it just made me realize how many family members or people with dementia don't understand these things. And it feels like all the healthcare providers are in such a rush, like we almost don't even want to ask them to slow down and take the time to explain these things. Instead of just naming things, I wish healthcare providers did more describing of the things. In fact, I think if more healthcare providers understood and followed these, maybe, I don't know if we want to call them guidelines or tips or recommendations, I think there would be a lot less misunderstanding, a lot less frustration, probably a lot less lawsuits, just from feeling like we're a team together and we are really valuing what the family member is saying, that we don't always have all the answers and the family member has a lot to contribute. Careblazer, what do you wish more healthcare providers understood about you and dementia caregiving? Leave them in the comments below. It will be interesting to read all of them and to hear what Careblazers around the world would say to this. I'll be back next week with a new video. And if you are someone who really wants to make sure that you are on the best Medicare plan for your needs, make sure you go to askchapter.org/Careblazers or just give them a call. I've linked all the information down below in the description of this video. All right, bye.
Also, Nico gets a belly rub for every person who subscribes from this video. So if you haven't already, click the red subscribe button. It's totally free, and Nico says thank you very much.